One thing you may have noticed about rappers is that they always seem to look like they got a lot of cash. From the expensive jewelry to the pricey shoe collection to the luxurious car collection, even to their massive property, sometimes also collection, they are the perfect description of extravagant spending. But that doesn't mean that these rappers remain at that level throughout their careers. Some become even richer, like Jay-Z, and others sink into the depths of bankruptcy. And in this video, we're going to be looking at the rappers who went broke and all of their dumb moves to getting broke. To start this list off is probably one of the most popular rappers I'd say ever known. Yeah, 50 Cent. At a point in his life, 50 Cent was one of the hottest rappers in the game, selling almost 30 million albums by 2015, making nearly $100 million in investments, owning a successful clothing company and record label, and having endorsement deals with many companies. He had a net worth of $500 million in 2010, but things went downhill some years after. 50 Cent filed for bankruptcy in 2015 and started making $185,000 a month, of which $72,000 went to his 18-bedroom house, and the rest went to various expenses. He said that most of the cars and jewelries and jets that he showed off on social media were indeed borrowed or rented. However, that's not where things got bad for the rapper. Due to a feud with Rick Ross, he went to get back at him and chose to shame the mother of Rick Ross's child. He bought her a sex tape, added a voiceover making jokes about her, and uploaded it to the internet without her knowledge or her consent. The judge didn't find it very funny, and they ordered him to pay $7 million in damages. He was also charged with plagiarizing his G-Unit headphone design from another company and was ordered to pay $17 million for that offense. He filed for bankruptcy after that, stating these judgments plus other debts surpassed his $25 million net worth. However, in 2016, he settled his bankruptcy case, promising to pay $23 million to his creditors over 5 years. If you don't know who MC Hammer is, then you've never really heard rap music. He was one of the legends of the rap game, and personally, it makes sense why you'd have thought that his wealth would just never end, like a pool of infinite pooling, or money, whatever. His 1990 album, Please Hammer Don't Hurt Him, is still considered one of the best-selling hip-hop albums of all time, and he had an estimated net worth of about $33 million at the time. But things changed, and 6 years later, he filed for bankruptcy in one of the most famous celebrity financial disasters of all time. As you can imagine, his lifestyle was super luxurious, especially with his mansion being worth $30 million and his crazy entourage. He was believed to have about 200 people on his staff, coughing up about $500,000 every month as salary. However, he told Oprah that it could be $1 million a month at times. When he went bankrupt, he was believed to have several hundred creditors. The 36-page list of his creditors included his brothers, some banks, the IRS, lawyers, American Express, department stores, limousine companies, and utility companies. He even owed football player Deion Sanders $500,000. He said he lost his heart and didn't use the money as a blessing to himself, but to many others. Even with him going broke in 2011, he told Oprah that he wouldn't go back and change anything, even if he could. He said that he believes in the butterfly effect, and that if things turned out differently, he wouldn't have his kids or the peace that he has now. This is another big-time rapper who made it big in the late 90s and early 2000s, especially considering that he was on the Billboard 100 chart about 24 times between 1998 and 2018. Things seemed like they were going at least a little bit well for him, and he even married fellow artist Kellis. However, things went sideways very fast, and she filed for divorce while pregnant with their first child in 2009. Nas's terrible financial situation came into the open during his divorce, and it was reported that while settling on the amount that he would contribute for child support, Nas claimed that he owed his manager $700,000 and the IRS millions. However, that didn't shake the court, and he was still obligated to pay over $50,000 a month in child support. The judge ruled that he owed her $300,000 in back child support and alimony, but Nas said that paying that amount would just bankrupt him. And if that wasn't bad enough, in 2012, Nas lost his Georgia home when he couldn't make mortgage payments, and the bank took the house and just auctioned it off. Apart from that, it seemed like Kellis wasn't the only woman not getting paid, as there were reports of the mother of Nas's daughter taking him to court in 2014, saying he was a repeat criminal non-supporter who owed her over $11,000 in child support. Lil Kim might not be the most popular female rapper ever known, but she did have good times in her career. However, it didn't last long, and she started having issues paying her mortgage. Reports say that her bank first began foreclosure proceedings in 2010, and that both parties were still trying to work things out in 2015. However, by 2017, a judge ruled against her, and a year later, the bank foreclosed on her New Jersey mansion, and Lil Kim filed for Chapter 13 bankruptcy protection. She had some other pretty serious debts, including owing 650,000 buckaroonies for her house, owing the IRS over $1 million in back taxes, and owing $186,000 for legal bills. Yeah, so she was about $4 million in the hole overall. Her income went downhill in just a year, going from $823,659 in 2016 to $398,000 in 2017. By 2018, she was making about $18,000 a month, and she had to budget $2,000 for her staff, $2,000 for her wardrobe, and $10,000 for travel. Lil Kim had a major setback when the court objected to her filing for bankruptcy because she was in so deep that legally she was too broke to qualify for Chapter 13's specific type of bankruptcy. However, reports have it that in 2019 her bankruptcy case was dismissed after she managed to get her finances in order. The mid-1990s gave Xzibit a great career, with a platinum and 2 gold albums, as well as a job hosting Pimp My Ride on MTV. The popular MTV show, where people brought their old cars for custom makeovers, turned out to be a real cash cow. The show ran from 2004 to 2007, and its cancellation seemed to surprise Xzibit and also his bank account. Reports say that in 2007, he earned nearly $500,000, but the year after his big TV gig ended, he made $67,000 from $510,000. That became a problem considering the lifestyle he got accustomed to over the good years. He had houses in New Mexico and California, and by 2009, his 7,650 square foot mansion was about to be foreclosed. He also didn't have a car, even though he hosted a show about cars, and then wasted his money leasing a Range Rover for $2,230 a month. By 2010, he ended up being $1.4 million in debt. Xzibit also had a problem paying taxes, failing to pay up in 2006, 7, and 9. Between 2008 and 2010, the IRS came for their taxes, demanding nearly $1 million in back taxes, which, yeah, as if you probably could have guessed by the nature of this video, he did not have. He tried to file for bankruptcy, but it was dismissed and his property was claimed. Formerly known as Lil Bow Wow, Bow Wow started his music career at 13 and even diverted to acting in movies, starring in movies, and TV shows. Starring in movies and acting in movies are very, very different things, peoples. You gotta know. He was living the life, though. Most people would have expected him to have a stable source of income for a lot of years, at least. But as it turns out, multiple sources of income wouldn't save him when things went really south in 2012. During a child custody hearing, Bow Wow told the court that he made $4,000 a month, and he only had $1,500 in his bank account. He also leased a relatively modest car, as 4 years earlier, he had leased a Ferrari F430 and was behind on payments within months. The leasing company came to collect their money, and he got stuck with a bill of more than $200,000, which totaled almost $300,000 by 2012, thanks to the interest. By 2017, he still tried to portray a lifestyle that he couldn't afford online, and posted a picture of a private jet on Instagram with a caption that heavily implied that he'd fly to New York. Unfortunately, they then spotted him flying commercial, and a picture was posted on Twitter. By they, I mean the good peoples of the world and on Twitter, so yeah. Another person also discovered that the private jet picture was originally from a Florida company's website. Many people know about this rapper, especially when he gained popularity in 2018. The Harvard dropout rapper gained a reputation for flexing his riches on social media, as he often filmed himself buying jewelry, destroying luxury vehicles, tossing around cash, literally, and that was regardless of his difficult financial situation. According to legal documents, this rapper was believed to owe the IRS about $1.6 million in back taxes from 2018. The agency allegedly filed a lien against his $5 million Miami mansion, which he bought shortly after his sophomore album release. Reports say that the rapper paid almost $90,000, and the IRS released the tax lien that they had hit him with last year. The IRS isn't the only one being owed, as American Express sued the rapper and his company Lil Pump Touring in August for breach of contract, claiming that he stiffed them on a $26,233.24 bill. Yeah, he might have tried to settle his debts with the bank because they eventually dismissed their lawsuit against him. However, the bank has the option to refile the suit at a later date. Talking about the 2000s is not complete without talking about T-Pain. His half-rapping, half-singing style of vocalizing on his long list of party anthems such as I'm in Love with a Stripper, Bartender, and his #1 hit, Buy You a Drink, Shouty Snap came before many current practitioners like Drake and Post Malone. He also sang the hook of plenty other smash hits for other rappers, like Chris Brown's Kith Kith, Jamie Foxx's Blame It, and Flo Rida's Low. However, when his dominant era ended in 2019, he made an astounding amount of money, set to about $40 million by his estimation, and he lost it all. He survived, but blamed his financial losses on terrible real estate investment decisions. He said, I was letting my manager do it, and he was way more optimistic than I was. He would just buy complete dumps and think, we can just paint it and then we should be fine. Never sold anything that we bought. It got to the point that T-Pain was so broke that he had to borrow money to buy his kids a meal at Burger King. And there you have it. Thank you for watching the dumbest rappers who went completely broke.